Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. I hope you're having a wonderful time this week, whatever it is you're planning on doing. But first of all, let's explain what we're going to be doing in today's show. So we're going to be having a little conversation in a moment about manifesting, and we're going to look into all the avenues of how to bring forward all the beautiful elements into your physical reality. We're also going to be going into a section of the show where we do channeling, and spirit communication comes through and brings forward a message for you. And then later in the show, we're going to be doing a forecast reading for you. So that will give you your heads up for what to expect throughout your week this week. But first of all, before we do any of that, I just want to put it out there to you all. If you have any questions or any suggestions about topics you would like to discuss on the show, then you can contact me by going to glennboddice@live.co.uk. That's sending me an email, by the way. Or you can head over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, and you can contact me there as well. And we can discuss whatever it is you'd like to bring into the show or what topics you'd like me to talk about. Okay, so without further ado, let's crack on with today's show. Like I say, we're going to be having a discussion about manifesting. Now, it's a buzzword, and it has been for quite some time. In various forms, we've heard it from various presenters and also videos, DVDs, and other spiritual communicators. And so with this in mind, it has whet our appetite in terms of wanting to work with this unforeseen source of energy in order to bring in the beauty that we desire into our lives. But before we can do any of this manifesting, what a lot of these things don't tell you is that you have to do some healing with yourself. You have to clear the way, clear the pathway ahead in order to have this beautiful energy working in alignment with you. So that is the first secret, if you like, of manifestation and bringing forward your whatever it is you desire into your life. You've got to let go of old belief systems that have been programmed in your subconscious. You have to let them go. Recognize that they're there for a start. Bless them, send them love, and then let them go. And then once you've done that, you have a clean palette to work with. And so that is the first thing, the first step of manifesting. It can take as long or as little as whatever you desire. It depends on your state of mind and how much attention and time you're willing to spend on doing that. So it's an internal job, and it's something that you can do at your own leisure. What I would advise with doing this is always bring a pen and paper to the table and put your thoughts down and put your blocks down on paper, because that will actually highlight it to you. And with you writing it down, it brings it into form, into your reality, makes it more conscious to yourself, if that makes sense. And when you do that, that can be very freeing, very telling, and very healing as well. So the next part of manifesting, first of all, it's all about how you are feeling, what you are imagining in your mind, what you're desiring, what you're visualizing. And it's about those two elements once you've done the clearing. Also having that trust, having that faith, and feeling those vibrations as well. So there's quite a few elements to consider when we are manifesting. But I'd like to pose this question to you all. How are you feeling at the moment? Now, be honest with yourself, tune into yourself. And like I say, if you want to bring pen and paper out in order to be more clear about that, without your internal dialogue stopping you from thinking and feeling the thoughts, write them down on paper. Okay, so that's your first question. How are you feeling? Then I want to ask you, what are your dominant thoughts? So what thoughts are always racing around your head? The first thing when you wake up in the morning, when you're maybe doing household chores and that the thought pops up in your head and it's just a reoccurring thought. Again, bring pen and paper to this as well, just so that you can be honest with yourself. Okay. So once you've done that, you will be able to see where you're at in your life at the moment. And that can be very telling. For some of us, we don't necessarily want to admit that we're feeling those feelings or we're thinking those thoughts. But when we do see that evidence on paper, we can then do something about it if we want to make those changes. Okay. So we've gone through the clearing part of the exercise of manifesting, being aware of your subconscious thoughts and your old belief systems. We've posed the question, how are you feeling? And be honest with yourself. And we've posed the question, what are your dominant thoughts? Okay, so when you've done all of those things and you feel very clear, very positive, and you feel that level of excitement in your stomach area, you know, that butterfly feeling, that's what you're wanting to feel when you're manifesting, that level of excitement. It may take you back to being a child when you was going somewhere like a holiday and you got that butterfly sensation, that excitement there, the feeling of being in a new relationship, that butterfly sensation, feeling of love and that free-flowing form of energy. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for when we're manifesting. Because how you think and how you feel shapes your current reality. So instead of laying the blame on other people and other things around you, it's time now to take responsibility for what you've been putting out into the universe. And again, when you have that level of consciousness where you're fully aware of what you're doing, you can then start and design your life as you so wish to do so, consciously. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share a few of my own experiences with you, just to illustrate the beauty of how this can work for you. Once you have done the inner work, allowed yourself to be clear and setting some intentions. Okay, so what I do when I want to manifest something in my life, and something that I've done in the past, and I'll take you back several years ago when I had my first recording studio. At the time, it just seemed a bit like a pipe dream. It's something that I always wanted. However, I was unclear about how I would get the equipment, how I would have the finances, how would I have the building, the premises, and all of that. And so all these doubts, all these questions were in my mind. But behind all of that, I had this passion for music. And I had that feeling that I described to you as a butterfly feeling in the stomach area, that level of excitement. And that continued when I would be sourcing out equipment for the studio. And even though I didn't have the finances, I was looking at these items. I was taking screenshots. I was even printing these items off on a printer and forming a scrapbook with all these cutouts of all the bits of equipment that I would need in order to put a recording studio together. And so I would continue to do this. And when I was looking at each one of these items, I was feeling that level of excitement, that butterfly feeling in my stomach area. And even though it was just an image that I was looking at, I was going through the motions in my mind and in my feelings. I could literally visualize seeing myself using that product, that item that I was desiring to bring into my recording studio that I hadn't got yet. So I was visualizing that. I was seeing myself using it. I was feeling the feelings of joy when I was using it, and how much that would make my work flow a lot better within studio work as well. So I was feeling all of these things. And in the end, I had a collection of all these different pictures there in a scrapbook. And on a regular basis, I would say at least once a day, I would take 5 minutes out my day to go and look at the images in this scrapbook, and I would reconnect with them. I would have that visual experience. I would have that sensory experience. And like I say, I would feel that level of excitement there. And as the days went on and as the weeks went on, that excitement was still there, and it was building. It was building. And before you know it, things fall into place. You're looking again online and wherever I looked for this equipment, and there were deals coming in where the equipment was at a lower cost. And so the finances were made available to me, and I chipped away at it, and I ticked each one of these items off in my manifestation scrapbook, if you like. And I chipped away at it, and I managed to get each one of these items. However, I was still faced with the ultimate task of bringing forward a recording studio, a premises. And this took some doing, actually. And again, it was the same process for me. I was visualizing it. I was seeing the surroundings. I knew where all the equipment that I got was going to be placed. I knew how it was all going to be wired up, and the sort of clients that I was going to be working with and the projects I was going to be working on. I was hearing that in my mind. I was visualizing it, and I was feeling still that level of excitement. And as it came about, the finances were suddenly made available to me. And again, it was the universe bringing that in. It sounds crazy, I know it does, but it brought it in such a unique way. And before you know it, at the time, we had a purpose-built studio building built on our premises. And so we went through that the process of having the planning permission, went through the process of getting an architect, and throughout every stage of this process, there was still that level of excitement. And then when the builders came, they started to build it, and again, that excitement was there. And when the building was made, I was just left with a shell of a building. And so to turn that into a recording studio, you have to obviously soundproof it. You have to get all the electrics in. And so we got all the electrics in. And at the time, my dad, bless him, he volunteered to help me to do all the inner fit. So, which was a beautiful bonding experience with myself and my dad. And again, I was getting all these ideas coming in. I was feeling the energy. I was following that inner bliss, and that was my driving force. Many people were observing me saying, well, what are you doing all that for? You know, you're putting all those hours in. Why are you doing it? You know, shouldn't you be doing something else? But I knew that I had to do it. I felt it. I visualized it. I became it. And so along with my father, we brought this vision into form. We soundproofed it all and installed all the equipment. And it was, if not better than what I originally visualized at the very start. I knew that it would be coming into form, but went beyond my own expectations. So that's just a little bit of how I brought something into form that most people would find, well, how are you going to get the finances? How are you going to do that? All I can say is I knew, I had a feeling, I trusted, I continued doing the inner work. Again, removing blocks. If people would perceive me as crazy, saying, why are you doing that for? What do you want that for? You should be doing this. I accepted that was their opinion, and they was entitled to that. However, I wasn't going to take on that energy. It wasn't going to become a part of me. I was very stubborn in the fact that I knew that this was going to happen. I didn't know how, didn't know when, where. However, I just knew. I felt it, I visualized it, I saw it, I experienced it before it came into form. And this is one of the major things also that I should mention about manifesting anything, what you desire, is you have to have that discipline of keeping focused on what it is you want to bring in. You have to have that feeling as well, and combine that with your visualizations while keeping yourself clear from any lower negative comments or information from others. The next thing is very important. Like I say, this is where we have to remove all our belief systems, if you like, of how is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Where is it going to happen? And we have to remove all those elements out the equation and just trust and align with that energy that's giving you that excitement, the energy of the universe, and let the universe bring it in, all in at the right time. All the wheres, whys, whens, hows, and all of that. The universe fills the blanks in for you. It is your job to stay focused, stay aligned, connect with those visions, feel that vibration, and trust. And I guarantee you, every step of the way on your journey, no matter what you're manifesting, whether it's big or small, it could even be a relationship that you're after. It could be a new car. It could be absolutely anything. It doesn't have to be materialistic. It could be the fact that you're wanting more confidence in your life, or you're wanting more information coming in for you, inspiration. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be anything physical. However, what the universe will do, whatever it is you're wanting to manifest, is it will show you evidence along the way. It will bring forward that proof to you that what it is you're wanting to bring into form or wanting to bring into your reality is on its way to you. For me, as I've just shared my experience with you all, it came in the form of repetitive emails regarding the equipment I was looking for. It came in the form of inspiration. I would be surfing the net, and exactly what I was thinking in my mind would appear on the internet, and I hadn't mentioned it to anybody. And I'd view that, and it would then inspire me to think about various designs of the studio. Also, there would be what most people would term as coincidences, but for me, I knew that it was the universe working out and matching up and aligning with the vibration that I was sustaining and putting out there. And this was in terms of the finances. The finances, I was unsure where they were going to come from. But however, there were circumstances within the family that brought in the finances right at the right time. And again, that goes back to, putting aside what you want at a certain time and just allowing the universe to connect all the dots for you. So it's an absolute magical time when we do connect with our manifestation abilities. And it's something that we've all been doing ever since we were born, ever since we was a child. If you can think back to that time, for example, I'm sure when we were younger, we all liked sweets or ice creams, things of that nature. Obviously, we relied on our parents in order to have these, or grandparents, or relatives. But what we did, in actual fact, most of us saw like a TV advert, and that TV advert brought that desire into our mind. Say for instance, if it's chocolate or cereals or something like that, and all of a sudden we would end up tasting that in our mouths, wouldn't we? We'd smell the food, we'd start salivating as if we had it in our physical reality. We'd be experiencing that, and then we get those desires, those cravings for that food. And at that point, we'd visualize it of ourselves experiencing, eating that and salivating, like I say. And then again, at that point, we would go over to our parents or guardians or whoever, and we would ask them, wouldn't we? We would badger them, oh, can we get some of those the next time we go shopping? Oh, I really like those. And of course, if your parents were anything like mine, they'd say, we'll see, because they were conscious of the finances at the time. And so anyway, you'd carry on. Every time that advert would come on the TV, you'd go through the same process, wouldn't you? You would start and salivate. You get that taste for that product, you get that smell for that product, and it would continue, and that energy would build and build and build up until shopping day. And if you were lucky enough, if you continued feeling those vibrations, then when you'd come home from school or wherever it is you was at, you would find that your parents had got in the very thing that you was wanting, and to break it down in its simplest of terms, we were manifesting there without necessarily realizing it. And on the flip side of the coin, it's not all sunshine and daisies when we do manifest, because there will be times in our life where we're not feeling at our best, and we're visualizing things, maybe projecting things that haven't happened in our lives yet, that we're not necessarily wanting them to happen. However, we are seeing them, and we are feeling that negative energy connected with that image. It may make us feel a little bit sick in the stomach. It may make us feel tense and really uneasy as we're visualizing this. And so with doing that as well, you're setting those seeds to manifest that into your physical reality. So again, it is very much up to you. What are you putting your attention on? So it takes great power and great responsibility when we're manifesting. Excuse me. And so with this in mind, it allows you to be more mindful on a daily basis. What are your dominant thoughts? Like we said at the beginning of the show, take a pen and paper, be honest with yourself. What are your dominant thoughts? Write them down. What are your dominant feelings? And then observe your current reality in your now moments. And you'll start and see the patterns forming around you, that a lot of these things that are happening in your life, you're actually creating and bringing into form by your own level of thinking and feeling. So make sure that you keep a check-in on yourself and keep yourself clear. And at any one moment, you can flip the script on that and you can redesign your life to however you wish to do so. But it will take conscious effort. We mentioned earlier about you taking that time out to clear those old belief systems, those old subconscious programming that you would have been experiencing through the best part of your life. It's time to face those and remove those blocks. And instead, start and redesign your life in the way that you wish to live. There is a level of stubbornness that you need to adhere to whilst you're manifesting anything, because there will be those around you that aren't on the same vibration as you, and they're not feeling what you're feeling. They're not seeing the visions that you're seeing, and that's fine. My advice to you with this as well is keep whatever it is you want to manifest into your physical reality. Keep it to yourself for the time being. By doing this, it will allow that energy source to be strong. It will allow that strong connection that you're feeling to connect with the universe and play with that energy and bring it into form a lot quicker. You see, when we tell too many people about our visions, this can go in one of many ways. The first, they like the idea and they emulate or copy you, and they bring it into form before yourself. And that may be because they've done all the clearing work, they've moved all the energy blocks, and they're partly there with the ingredients they need in order to bring that into form. Another reason why you shouldn't share it with too many people is because it will dilute your energy. It will dilute that energy form that connects you to your manifesting power. So, what I would also suggest, there's a lot of homework for you when you're manifesting, as you're hearing now, is I would, like I did, advise you to get a vision board or a scrapbook with all the things that remind you of what it is you want to desire. Have a list. Make a list of how you want to design your life as well. Maybe put that in the scrapbook there. And for 5 minutes a day, go through each one of those items on the list and give it your time and attention. And when I say this, I mean, really visualize it. Really feel that vibration, how it makes you feel. Visualize it, feel it, live it as if it was real in your now moments, and cling on to that feeling and that experience and remember it. Okay? And then on a daily basis, go through all of these things. And you'll notice that the universe will bring forward little signs to tell you that you are on the right path, and that whatever it is you're putting your time and attention on is on its way to you. So I hope that little bit of information about manifesting will give you some food for thought and will help you to design your life in the way that you see fit. Being more observant about ourselves, our mentality, our feelings, we can then utilize all of that energy and our intentions to bring forward what we want to create into our reality. So manifesting is very important, and I urge you all to engage in doing that as soon as you can. Anyway, we're moving into the next segment of the show, which is channeling, where I allow myself to be a vessel for spirit to communicate through. And what they will do is blend their energies with mine, with the vessel, with myself, and they will change my voice in order to get their message across. So if you hear that, don't be alarmed. It's all for the name of love and light.
Hello, it is a great pleasure to be coming through and communicating with you today. We have such knowledge to share with you. In particular, we would like to talk about looking after oneself and utilizing everything you have to live in your earth time moments. So what we would like you to do is to pay attention to the subtleties of life as it works with you. One of these subtleties is energy. As I'm sure you'll all be aware, energy is all that you are, all that is, and all that you will ever will be. And everything is made up of energy. And so for when you interact or engage with everything in your earthbound incarnation, it is merely an exchange of communication of energy. So we would like to draw your attention to looking after your energy. One of those first things we'd like to recommend is to simply honor thyself enough to know when enough is enough. There are people around you that will take all day long if you will let them do so. However, that will leave you an empty vessel and nothing to operate from. So we want you to start and set boundaries around yourself and respect yourself in this level. We're not suggesting for 1 minute that you are better than anybody else or anyone is better than you or lesser than you. No. That would be the ego mind talking. No, what we are suggesting is that you simply know yourself and know that you are worth it, and know without your energies these exchanges could not take place. So, with this in mind, number 1, setting boundaries around oneself. Then what we'd like you to do is notice on a daily basis all these energy exchanges that you are going through. A lot of the energy exchanges are non-verbal communication, so they happen involuntary, and only those that are paying express attention will notice them. You feel the subtleties of life working through you. In other words, you may observe yourself feeling a little bit low or a little bit hyperactive at some points, or even feeling a little dazed and confused, when you have no reason to be feeling this way at all. What we merely suggest to you is this is the energy exchange we are talking about. Other people, other entities, other animals are sending out these transmissions, and you are merely picking them up and misinterpreting them to be your own. So we want you to decipher what is yours and what isn't yours in terms of energy. Now you all know how you feel in your natural state of awakening, don't you? Well, we wish for you to check in with oneself in order to re-establish and reaffirm those feelings. And then you see, once you do this and you know this, then anything around that isn't your energy, if you understand. So we want you to pay particular attention to that field. What we would also like to discuss with you is this tremendous time of transition that we keep speaking about, but it is of an important nature, so that's why we need to address it. And so you need to have a thicker skin at these times you are living in at the moment. And we do not wish to pull energy down by talking about these things. No. We merely want to keep yourselves calm and collected and well-balanced and focused, so that you can carry on being the light worker that you are in times of great need. Shall we say that, to follow on a tangent from our talk about energy, this is what we are referring to. There's a great shift in your consciousness that is requiring those that have, shall we say, have started vibrating at a higher level to lead the way, to pave the way, and to make it an easier transition for those of you that are catching up. there will be a great time of confusion in terms of mental thought capacity and shifting of paradigms. The old ways must be released in order for the new ways to come, and obviously there's a sense of comfort and knowing in the old ways, the old belief system. However, there will be, like we say, significant changes where there's always a choice, you must understand, but the choice you are faced with is either staying where you are or evolving and going to what feels right. We trust that you will make the right connections and decisions during this time of transition. However, there will be those of you that need some additional support and guidance, that reassurance that all is well and you'll be fine. It's almost as if you are simply helping a child along, crossing a river on stepping stones. You're giving them that encouraging words and you're holding their hand so that they could cross this tide of water in order to get to the other side. That's just a little analogy we wish to share with you in order to illustrate these times that you are going through. And you are that adult that is helping that child cross over onto the other side. Now, when we say the other side, we're referring to the new dimensions that are in and around you at this moment in time, and you are now starting to see that confusion coming to the surface. There will be a change in quite a lot of your, shall we say, attitudes and behaviors during this time. You will notice people being really sharp with you and very, very uncurt, if you know what I mean, very sort of on the defensive all the time. And what we say to you is see beyond that illusion, that masquerade, because that behind that is an element of fear of moving on, transitioning to a higher frequency in your dimension. So your role is simply to show them love. I know that sounds quite a hard prospect to do when you're facing this level of behavior, but show them love, compassion, listen, and then sneak in the odd bit of wisdom in between the breaths, within conversations, and the energy within that will help them move along quickly. There will be a time of sickness in the mind, but you are to show again levels of compassion and maturity in order to break all belief systems and move forward. We reassure you that all the things, all the trappings in your domain, such as mainly money and possessions and things of that nature, yes, in your dimension, you need those in order to survive in some capacity. However, with the new shift, you will notice that everything you need will come at the right time when you need it. So you're to walk in faith and truth, and don't give any of that, shall we say, materialistic side of life. Don't give it your attention. Your attention should be on your soul, serving humanity and energy, keeping yourself safe, protected, and also being that light in order to help others. That's what we needed to say to you today. I hope between all of these ramblings that some of the transmission that has come through makes a little bit of sense to you, and you can take a little bit from it in order to help you at these times. We do recommend that during this month, what's left of it anyway, that you spend time in quiet contemplation when you can, ideally out in the countryside near water. That will help to calm you and detoxify you in terms of energy. You understand, it would allow those energies to be removed naturally without any shall we say, without any interference. That's the best term we can use. So during this time, you would benefit greatly by taking rest when you can, allowing yourself to set boundaries around yourself and to show love and compassion for others. Do not judge during this time. It's so easy for you to do that. However, you'll be much better focusing your time and attention on how may I serve, sending healing waves of love and light, and following your intuition every step of the way. That will give you your guidance in order to navigate through these times. Now we understand that as we're speaking, communicating this, it may come across like we're saying lots of negative content, but in actual fact we're bringing you an informative message to get you prepared in order to move over to a higher vibrational frequency. Now, in this higher vibrational frequency, it is absolute bliss. You can relax. The stresses of life will be removed, and you can focus on that light and that love in your heart. And we've said this on many transmissions before. The colors of your earth plane will start to radiate a little brighter. People will also start to radiate brighter, and you'll just notice this shift. And there'll be a calmness, a synchronicity where you think it, and so it shall be. After all, you are a creator in your own right. And so those powers of creation have been slowly taken away from you by societies, shall we say. However, in this new dimension, they will be slowly given back to you, so that those that work in love, light, and happiness will again be reconnected with these gifts that you've always had. And you will not be allowed to misuse them, because misuse of these gifts will send you back into lower energies. And it will come back to you as great lessons if it was abused. Anyway, we've spoken for far too long now, and we'd like to thank you all for listening and taking this time out in order to hear this transmission and the content within. We wish you merry tidings ahead, and we send our love to you all during these times of great change. We thank you. God bless.
Well, that was a wonderful transmission there. I'm sure we can all take some value from it. In particular, I found it interesting about setting boundaries around ourselves. Now, I'm sure we can all, again, utilize that in all of our lives, because we are givers. We give our time away freely. We help people unconditionally, and we forget to think and consider ourselves. So that was a really poignant meaning for me personally. And also within that, just having that trust and faith that the universe has our back. Sometimes we like to try and figure everything out, don't we? All the details, etc., etc. And in doing so, we're actually blocking our greatest good by doing that. So it was interesting there that the communicator that did channel through was touching upon that information. And I'm sure we can all bring that into our reality, into our life, and adopt that way of being, start and having that faith, that trust in the universe, that it's heard our call, heard our prayer, and it's going to bring that in for us. And once we start and do that, then we'll notice that things will start and change for us for the better. Everything will match up. There'll be a certain flow to life where before it was very stop-starty. And once we give up that need to control, it will just help us evolve spiritually, emotionally, mentally as well. And we'll feel more in alignment with our our pathway that we decided before we even came here in this incarnation. So that's some very interesting words there that were said and messages in that transmission. And I felt very grateful to be a vessel for that to come through. So again, a big thank you to Spirit for bringing that through for us all. Okay, so we're going to be moving in a moment into the next segment of the show, which is the segment where we do your weekly energy forecast reading. Now, when I do this, I have a meditation before I do this. I chill out and I make a point of setting intentions, and that's important for us all to do in every aspect of our life, no matter what we're doing. So with this in mind, I always set the intention for the energy to come through that needs to be expressed, that needs to be communicated, so that we can embody that information that comes through and that it resonates with all of us that listen to it and engage in it. So I set those intentions out before I even start the recording for the forecast reading. I then I pick up some tarot cards, angel tarot cards. I clear the pack and I set the intentions with the pack again. And I allow a card to come through. And you'll hear that in a minute when I do the forecast reading. But the purpose behind doing these, there's a short story behind this. A few years ago now, my guides encouraged me every step of the way to start and give to people, help people. Everybody was in a time of need. They needed that sort of reassurance, that ray of light, if you like. And so with this in mind, I heard what my guides were saying, and I said, okay, so I used those infamous words, how may I serve? And when I did, I got the answer, and that was to pull a card, do a forecast reading for people for their week ahead. Give them that ray of hope, give them that ray of light, and it will help them get through these trying and testing times. And so that's what I did. I listened, and at the time I was very nervous about doing it because it was like I was putting myself out there and for all to see. And at that time in my life, I was a little bit, okay, I'll listen, I will follow, I will do that. But I was still a little bit nervous about doing it. Nevertheless, I followed my guide's intuition and I started to record and do this weekly feature, the forecast reading. And in doing so, I feel very blessed that Spirit worked through me because it's all channeled from them. And so I feel blessed that they bring that information through for you all. And over the few years I've been doing this, I've had some marvelous feedback, and it's really nice to see that it's doing what Spirit intended it to do. It's helping people to navigate through their week. It's giving them that hope, that love, and that healing just in the vibration of the words alone. And so when I do get feedback from comments and things of that nature, I immediately thank Spirit because they put me on this path, and I listened and I followed reluctantly, but it's helped quite a lot of people. So I hope this will help you. There's just the backstory to it. So here is your weekly energy forecast reading. I hope the information resonates with you and gives you that heads up for your week ahead for this week. Hello, my name is Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for Monday the 13th of June 2022. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot card. So I'm just about to shuffle the pack now and ask for a card to come out at random, and right away one has just done that. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. Now I'm going to link into the energy of that card and bring forward the information for you. This week we'll see you going through several stumbling blocks. My guides are saying that you need to persevere with it and make your way through them and follow the path of least resistance this week. This week will also bring in subtle changes into your now moments, into your reality. And those that are of a sensitive nature watching this will pick up on it more than others. Now, this is in terms of your personality changing for the better. You're going to take back your confidence, take back your power, your energy, and also with gaining that that inner truth that you've always had, that you've kept hidden. It's going to open new doors of opportunity by you responding to that and acknowledging it. Also, I feel as though you need to pay attention and follow your nose this week. Again, it's going in line with what I was saying. Follow the path of least resistance, and all will come good as you're doing that. This week will also see you going through a few elements of confusion in your mind. My guides are saying for you not to engage into activity with those thoughts. Simply be aware of them, observe them, but don't take them on board. Just allow them to go through you and pass through, and don't take on any of the emotional attachments to those energies. With you being in this vibration, it will help you navigate you through this week. Can you please watch out also this week? You're going to get some angelic downloads. Now, what these are, for those of you that don't know, is generally speaking, you hear a high-pitched shrill frequency sound in your left ear, and it's like a and it goes on for probably less than a minute, but it can be quite intrusive when it does happen, because you feel it going through your brain, and it makes you do that as well. But just persevere with it. These will be coming in for you all this week, and some of you may be used to the process. Those of you that aren't, just watch out for hearing that in your left ear, and it almost sounds like a high-pitched white noise sound, so be aware of that. The reason this is coming in for you is to heighten your vibration, to get you ready for the next level of your evolution in terms of your soul plan, your life's chapter. And so in order for you to, it's a bit like a phone upgrade, if that makes sense. So in order to use the software and the tools that you have on your phone, in other words, the tools that you have inside your physical body and in your mind and in your soul plan, and then this is why these upgrades come in, so that you can connect and use those tools. So watch out for that this week. Be aware of people testing your patience this week, and don't, again, like we said earlier, don't engage in that kind of level of behavior. Simply recognize it for what it is and remove yourself from that frequency. And this can be something as simple as just walking away. Just carry on doing what you were originally doing, and just not letting it affect you, because this week will be testing your mettle, so to speak. So be gentle with yourself, put yourself in that ball of protection this week, and know your self-worth are the words that I'm encouraged to share with you. Also, I want to tell you that this week will offer some opportunities as well. For those of you that are paying attention, you are to act upon them when you see them. This could be in terms of a work or career move. It may be something as simple as spotting a bargain in a supermarket or a shop when you're out shopping. You to follow that train of thought and follow that opportunity, because it will lead to a beautiful resolution. But you mustn't rush things. You must take one step at a time and be gentle with yourself as you're going through this process. So this week is a very mixed bag of a week, but I feel as though it's going to be a very rewarding one. You've just got to persevere through it and follow that inner bliss coming from your heart and your intuition. Allow that to propel you forward and navigate you through these obstacles of this week. So I'm going to turn over the card for you. And at the top of the card, it says Ace of Fire. So to me, Ace represents number 1. So I'd like you to research the angel number of number 1. Also, Ace is telling you that you've got this. You're good. You're good to go. You've got this. You can do it. Now, fire represents passion, drive, light, healing, new beginnings as well. So watch out for those coming in this week, which will correspond with what we were saying. Lots of changes coming in for you this week. At the bottom, it says opportunity, creativity, and action. Well, we was talking about opportunities there, weren't we? And so it's telling you with that as well, just to be mindful, see these opportunities, and when you do, make the appropriate action forward. Don't shy away from it, because I feel if you miss these opportunities, they won't come around again. So it's for those that are being observant and paying attention that will spot them. Around the edging of the card, we've got the colour of red moving into orange. To me, that represents your base chakra. It represents being more present. It represents grounding. So with this week being a little bit up and down, it's telling you to just check in with yourself, focus in your now moment, stop focusing on what was and what could be. Just focus on what's happening now, and then that's where your true strength will be. Also, I feel red represents passion as well. So allow your passion to propel you forward through any endeavor that you take on this week. And if it isn't coming from a place of passion, then there's something not quite right. It's not aligning right. So just watch out for that. Orange represents the sacral, I feel, as well. And it also represents that energy that's going to push you forward in order to get where you need to be on your soul path. So watch out for that inner stirring, that pull, that drive, that driving force. That's going to come through very prevalent this week as you allow that to come through. So let's take a look into the artwork. We've got this beautiful little girl there. Isn't she gorgeous? And she's holding her staff there, but she's holding it at a funny angle, isn't she? She's holding it to the side, and the staff has wings there as well. And as you can see, one side of that is lower than the other. To me, that represents you focusing on your inner child this week. Allow yourself to have more fun. Allow yourself to engage in more fun activities that make you smile from your heart. And also make sure that you're balanced this week. Stop giving yourself far too much to others, and just show a little bit of love and compassion back to yourself. When you do that, you'll feel more in alignment, and this will propel you forward and help you connect with the transformation that is coming in for you. Now, she's got a divine angelic feminine behind her there. So to me, that represents that despite the obstacles of this week, you're going to be guided. We mentioned earlier about angelic downloads coming in. So again, watch out and listen for those, because these are your next set of emotional instructions that's going to pull you towards your destiny on your pathway. So just follow that intently. Now, if we see this beautiful girl here, she's smiling. So to me, this is telling you to keep on smiling through this week. Don't let anything bog you down. Have fun, laugh at the mishaps, and this will keep you going, and it will also keep your vibration high there as well. We can see that there's nature surroundings. I feel nature will help you get through this week. It will be the tonic that you need. And also, let the past be the past is what I'm being told to tell you. Don't keep churning it up. Just, it is what it is. Let it go. And I want to say that you're safe and protected throughout the course of this week. So that's what I've picked up for you for this week's energy forecast reading. I do hope the information has resonated with you and is helping you in some small way. I'd like to send my love and blessings to you and your family. God bless and take care, and thank you for watching. Well, I hope that information is going to help you through your week. So thank you for listening today. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, please don't hesitate to get in touch by contacting me at glennboddice@live.co.uk or finding me on my website www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, and you can contact me there again about any ideas or suggestions or questions that you have for the show. In the meantime, have a blessed week, everybody, whatever it is you're doing, and look forward to your company the same time next week. Thank you and take care.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products
services Glenn provides, go to Boddice spiritualmedium.com.